there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaded Path. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to learn how to make a new project that I call the Metal Rain earrings. Absolutely love these earrings, and I think you're going to as well. I was inspired to make these because I bought something similar to these at a big chain store, but they were so heavy, my poor ears could hardly take them. So I thought, I'm going to make my own version and do my own take on it. So get your tools together. Let's find out what we need to get started. So here's more of an up close look at what we're going to make today. So these were the ones that I just had on in the intro part of the video. You can see that these have little tiny stone rondelles and some little 3mm bicones with lots of little metal dangles. This one has, these are 3x2s. This one has some 4x3mm African turquoise. And then this one is actually a newer bead that we got in. It is a check glass tri-cut bead. So it's not a seed bead. It's an actual bead with a little bit of a bigger hole, and it's so pretty. I wish you were sitting here with me and could actually see these in person because they are amazing. So here's what we're going to need to actually make these fun little earrings. So the first thing we're going to need is 56 3x2 4x3 or any other small beads. So that's our little rondelles and tri-cut beads that I've used. You're going to need 16 3mm bicones. Now I'm actually going to use a little bit more than that today because on these two samples where I have used the little rondelles here at the top and the bottom, I actually decided to use one of the little crystals here at the top and the bottom on these. You're going to need 4 pieces of small chain cut into 1-inch pieces. So I have got these cut into 1-inch pieces, and so you need 4 of those. Now, you are going to need various sizes of eye pins. So I have in a little stack here, I have a 1/2 inch, a 3/4 inch, and a 1 inch. I actually have these for sale on my website, offthebeadedpath where you get an assortment of each of these sizes in a package. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you can take a regular eye pin and cut it into your sizes, and we'll talk more about that. But I'm going to use 16 1/2-inch eye pins, 16 3/4 inch eye pins, and 8 1-inch eye pins. I'm also going to need 10 2-inch eye pins, 4 head pins, 4 3mm round beads or spacer beads. So these are going to go actually right here on each side of our little dangles. So here I've used a little tiara cast bead. Here I've used a little 3mm silver ball, and then again here I've used another little tiara cast spacer bead. You're going to need 2 4mm or 6mm jump rings. Those are going to go up here at the top. And you need a set of ear wires. So what I did on these silver ones is I used regular ear wires. On these, I actually made my ear wires, and it made them a little bit longer. So I'm going to show you how I made my own ear wires as well. And you can see here I used one of those cute tiara cast spacer beads to kind of pull in the spacer beads down here at the bottom. So lots of different materials you're going to need, but it's going to be a fun project. If you want to make your own ear wires, I'm going to be using a 20 gauge artistic wire in the antique brass color. I'm going to need 2 of the little tiny spacer beads here. Any bead will work. You could even use a little bicone, or if you wanted to use one of your little bigger beads, you could do that as well. I'm going to need a bench block, a hammer, and a Sharpie. The only other tools that you're going to need are a cutter, a round nose plier, and you can use a flat nose or a bent nose plier. All 3 of those will work for your project. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make my ear wire. So I am going to cut a piece of the 20 gauge wire just a little smidge over my 2-inch mark. So if we do this in centimeters, it's going to be just a little past 5 centimeters here. So what I'm going to do is, and I actually already have it marked on my ruler here. I have a little tiny mark right here. I'm going to take the end of my wire and I'm gonna hold it to that point. So it's just one little line before the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so here and here. All right, so let me get my wire here. I'm gonna put my finger there, and then I'm gonna use my round nose pliers. I'm gonna lay it down, and I'm gonna grab right at the mark here at the beginning of my little piece of wire, my little rolled piece. And I'm grabbing it right here at the very tip of the wire, and I'm gonna bend the wire straight out at a 90-degree angle so it looks just like this. Now, if you need more help actually making this loop, you can always check out. I have a whole series of videos on how to make basic earrings, and we'll link that there. But you're gonna want to go ahead and make yourself a loop. So your loop is gonna look just like this. Now, if you have a little spot right here where it looks a little bit wavy, you can always take your pliers and kind of straighten that up. But one thing that I'm gonna go ahead and do before I do anything is I'm gonna hammer just that loop, just a little. Okay, so not much. You can see that it flattened it out just a little, but that's all I'm gonna do to it. And I'm gonna make sure to kind of close that back. And then I'm gonna thread on my little tiny spacer bead. Now, right at that bead, I'm gonna kind of bend the wire back at about a 45-degree angle. I'm gonna use my Sharpie or something to this diameter. If you have the wooden dowel set, that works really well too. I'm gonna just kind of do it like this around to give me that shape that I want. So putting it back at the 45-degree angle gives us that nice loop there that we've got. And then if you want, you can leave it like this, but I like to take and come up just a little bit and make a little notch right there so that I have a really, really pretty ear wire. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put that little spacer bead all the way up against my block, and I'm gonna real lightly tap this. This is just gonna work harden it a little bit so that way my ear wire doesn't come apart. Okay, so you can see that it's nice and sturdy there, and that'll be a great ear wire for my project today. So if you'll remember in the beginning, I told you were gonna need several sizes of jump rings. So you're gonna need 16 that are 1/2 inch. You are going to need 16 that are 3/4 inch, and this is the entire length. That includes the little eye there. And then you are going to only need 8 that are 1 inch. All right, so I'll kind of give you an idea in your inches and your centimeters. I also am gonna have to have about 10 2-inch eye pins. So these are standard eye pins. The eye pins are gonna be used to do, our longer ones are gonna be used to do this and hold these into place. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of my standard 2-inch eye pins, and I'm gonna add a little spacer bead. I'm gonna thread on 4 of my small size. And as I look at those, I wanna make sure that when I look down on it, that it's straight and it's closed. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, then I'm gonna put on 4 of the 3/4 inch, and again, I wanna look down on it, and if it's not 100% straight, I wanna take and grab a hold and kind of straighten that up. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then I want 4 of my 1-inch eye pins. And again, if I look down on it like this, I can see that it's not 100% straight. So I can grab a hold and kind of straighten it out there. Make sure, dropped one off of there. Okay, so I have a small, a medium, and a large, and now I'm just gonna reverse it. So now I'm gonna put in 4 of my 3/4 inch, and then 4 of my little 1/2 inch pieces. And then once I get all of those on, I'm gonna put another little spacer bead so that it should look something like this. Now this is a really good time once I actually get the loop made to check and see. I can already tell because I actually had to cut these because I didn't have the sizes of these at the time. You can see here I have one that's a little bit longer. So once I get my loops made, I can go back and fix that. Now we want to make a loop on this end, a plain loop. But what we have to watch is we need these not to fit super tight together. We want them to be kind of real loose like they are. So that way, as you wear it, these won't get bunched up. Because if I push this hard against it, they don't lay like they do if I leave them kind of like this. Okay, so that's what we want. And we want to make sure that our loops are the same direction when we finish. So I'm going to come out just a smidge from where it is finished at, and I'm going to turn that wire. I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to leave only about, let's see about how much I can tell you there. Right there, about 1/4 inch. And then I'm gonna use the very tips of my pliers here to make a loop. So again, you can see that they're real easy, and I wanna make sure that both of my loops are faced the same way. So I grab a hold and I just make sure that they're both facing that same direction there. And this is a great time to be able to hold your wires and look and see if you have one that's a little longer maybe than another one. And so I'm happy with that. So those look good. So we want 2 pieces like that. So you can go ahead and do it all at the same time, or you can do one at a time. It's up to you. Then we're going to start here on this row. So on another eye pin, I'm going to thread on a 3mm, and 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can actually pick these up this way as well. It really doesn't matter. On this one, I actually picked up the next little set of beads, so it's really up to you. But I'm just kind of showing you a basic pattern that you can follow, a real easy pattern. So I have on a bicone 4 of my beads and a bicone. And again, I'm gonna make a loop here at the end. And I'm gonna leave about the same amount that I did with my little fringes here, because I want all of my head pins to be about the same width apart. If not, it's gonna be a funky little earring. And again, I wanna make sure that both of my loops are the same direction. So we are gonna make 4 total of these, just like this. Then we're going to take another head pin, or I'm sorry, an eye pin, not a head pin, and thread on 1 bead, 1 3mm, 2 beads, 1 3mm, and 1 bead. Okay, so this was the first one versus the second one. So again, I'm going to make my little loop here. Okay, And then I want to make 4 total of this one. So I will have 4 of this and 4 of this for both earrings. Now for each earring, you need 2 of each of the little ones that we made, those little links. Now we're ready to put the earring together. So normally I would use one of my little beads here, my main color beads, but I wanted to do just a little bit different on this one because it had so much gold. I wanted just a little more gold. So I'm gonna put on a bicone and then the loop to my little metal bar. Then I'm gonna put on a rondelle and then a bar like this. A rondelle, a bar like this, a rondelle, a bar like this, a rondelle, my last little bar, and then another little bicone. So when I get it kind of laid out here, this is what it will look like. I'm going to go ahead, make sure all the beads are kind of pressed down here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the wire, trim it, and make that loop. Okay. Now, we're almost done with the bead part of it. So now I'm going to take another head pin and I'm going to put on a bicone. And let me grab some of my little beads here. So a bicone, and I'm going to go up through the loop here on the little metal bar. Then I'm going to put on a round bead or a rondelle. Whoops. Do it like this. And then I'm going to go through the open loop of the next bar. And then I'm going to thread on a rondelle. Go through the open loop of the next bar. A rondelle. A little rondelle. And then I'll go through the last bar here. And now I'm ready to put on one more bicone. I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to make that little loop here. So I make sure all my beads are kind of pushed down. So that now my completed beadwork looks like this. So this is where our chain is going to come into play. Now my chain, let me get my little ruler back out here for you. My chain is going to be about 1 inch. I think this one I might have done, whoop. Goodness gracious, this little chain's hard to work with, just these itty bitty pieces. There we go. So yeah, right at 1 inch here on the chain. So you can kind of see there the size of the chain that we're using. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pliers and open up one of the loops here at the top. I'm going to thread on an end link of my chain. And then I'm going to close that loop. And I'm going to do the same thing on this end. Open the loop. Thread on an end link of chain. And then close the loop. So that now your piece should look something like this. Have a little piece of chain here. see if I can pull that off. There we go. All right, so this is where your little tiny jump ring is going to come in. Again, you can use a 4mm, you can use a 5mm, you can use a 6mm. I probably would not go above a 6mm bead or a 6mm jump ring. I'm going to open that jump ring up by twisting it apart, and I'm going to thread on the end link of chain on one side and the end link of chain on the other side. Now, if you already have your ear wire made, you can go ahead and thread that on and then grab a hold and twist to close that wire back so that now you have another one of your earrings, and your completed piece should look something similar to that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed learning how to make these new quick and simple earrings. A couple of things. Number one, I do have a written pattern. It's for free on my website on how to make these quick earrings. So if you go under step-by-step tutorials, there's a whole little section for free with lots of free patterns. So make sure and go and grab your free pattern, because I did give quite a bit of materials for this one and quite a few specific measurements. So go ahead and grab that. I also have an assortment pack of these little eye pins. There'll be 20 of the 1/2 inch, 20 of the 3/4 inch, and 20 of the 1 inch in an assortment pack. So it's a great way to not have to buy huge amounts of each of those different sizes. I also have lots of beautiful rondelles, especially those check rondelles, and some of those little tri-cut beads like I used in this earring sample. So make sure to check those out on my website at offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.